All right, let's jump right in. Over the next few minutes, we're going to break down a massive shift that's happening in software development. By 2026, the job titles we all know are going to be basically obsolete, and they're being replaced by three new roles: the architect, the auditor, and the prompter. You need to know which one you're heading for.
So let me just ask you a straight-up question, and I want you to be honest with yourself. Is your job title already obsolete? You might be surprised by the answer.
Okay, so let's get into it. We are literally watching the end of an era. The old labels we've been using for years to define what a developer is, they're dead. Gone.
I mean, think about it. For the last 15 years, the system was pretty simple, right? You were sorted by what part of the tech stack you touched. Were you a front-end person, a back-end person, or a full-stack jack of all trades? That was basically the whole conversation.
But here's the reality check, and it's a big one. By 2026, those labels are completely meaningless. And why? Well, because an AI agent can spin up a whole React front end with a Node.js backend in the time it takes you to make a coffee. The barrier to just writing code has basically disappeared.
So if the old labels are out, what's taking their place? The new reality is what you could call a pyramid of value. Your worth isn't measured by what you build anymore, it's measured by how you think.
And this right here is the absolute key. The market is already carving developers up into three different tiers. And it has nothing to do with the programming language you know. It's all about your cognitive depth, how deeply you actually understand the systems you're working with.
So here it is. This is the new hierarchy. At the very bottom of this pyramid, we have the prompter. In the middle, you've got the auditor. And at the absolute peak, the top of the food chain, sits the architect. Let's break down what each of these really means for your career.
We're going to start at the bottom. And I really want you to pay attention here, because this is a warning. This is the role of the prompter.
So who exactly is the prompter? Well, this is the developer who has become completely dependent on AI. Their workflow is painfully simple. Type something like, "Build me a Twitter clone," into an AI tool, and then just copy and paste whatever it spits out, often with zero real understanding of how any of it actually works.
Now, the real danger here is the trap it creates. It's this illusion of competence. The prompter can make something that looks like it works, but if you ask them to explain the authentication flow or fix a critical bug, they can't. If your only skill is asking the AI a question, you're not competing with other developers anymore. You're competing with product managers, with marketers, with literally anyone who can type.
And here's the brutal truth about this role. The prompter is the new factory worker. It's a minimum wage mindset plopped right into the middle of a high-tech industry. This is the absolute danger zone. You want to avoid this at all costs. Okay, so let's climb up a level to the middle of the pyramid. This is the auditor, the essential human check in a world that's becoming more and more driven by AI. You can think of the auditor as the gatekeeper of quality. Their job is to take that code that an AI generates and put it through the ringer. They're reviewing it, debugging it, and most critically, they're securing it. They are the last line of human defense before code gets pushed live. Here's a great way to think about the shift. You're no longer the writer, agonizing over every single line of code. You're now the editor-in-chief. The AI cranks out the first draft, but you have the final say on whether it's good enough, safe enough, and smart enough to actually go out into the world.
So to be a great auditor, you need a very specific skill set. Deep knowledge of security is totally non-negotiable. You've got to be an expert in performance optimization, and you have to be really good at catching those weird AI hallucinations, when the AI confidently writes code that's secretly and dangerously wrong. It all comes down to a healthy dose of technical skepticism.
So the bottom line is, this is a stable, high-responsibility job. Why? Because companies are absolutely terrified of the liability that comes with just letting unchecked AI code run wild. They need a human being to sign off on it, and they will pay very well for that peace of mind.
All right, let's go all the way to the top. The peak of the pyramid. This is the most valuable role in software today. The architect, the visionary.
The architect is playing a totally different game. They're not worried about individual lines of code. Their entire focus is designing the system as a whole. They're the ones answering the huge big picture questions that AI, for now at least, just can't handle. Their world is all about strategy. They're deciding, should this be a microservices architecture for scale or a monolith to keep costs down? They're mapping out how data moves across an entire organization. They're choosing the right tech stack not just for today, but for 5 years from now. They take a fuzzy business problem and translate it into a clear, elegant technical solution. And this quote just nails it. Code has become a commodity. It's cheap.
But high-stakes decisions? Oh, those are incredibly expensive when you get them wrong. An architect doesn't sell code, they sell correct decisions.
Okay, so there you have it. We've mapped out the pyramid. You've seen the low-value trap of being a prompter and the high-value peak of being an architect. So the big question is, how do you climb? What's the path forward?
Here are 3 really concrete, actionable steps. First, stop memorizing syntax. The AI is always going to be better and faster at that than you are. That's prompter work. Second, start breaking things. Seriously, take AI-generated code and actively try to find its flaws. That's how you build your auditor muscles. And third, get obsessed with system design. Study how huge companies like Netflix or Amazon build and run their massive systems. That is your path to becoming an architect.
Because really, at the end of the day, it all boils down to this one powerful truth. In this new world, your value isn't your typing speed anymore. It's your thinking speed.
The choice is yours. You can be the person who just asks the machine for answers, or you can be the person who designs the system that the machine runs on. My advice? Be the architect.